What do you do if your kid's struggling with addiction? Parents, this is one of the most common and complicated questions I get, so I'm going to do my best to break down my experience in this video and give you a couple practical tips.
Evan, my kids are struggling with addiction. What should I do?
It's tricky because not all substance use is created equal. It's often a progressive process, but if you could stop it or slow it down early, there's immense benefit. Whether it's abuse or addiction, every situation is different, so it's really important to always consult a professional if you're going through this. When we professionals diagnose use disorders, it's generally based on the severity of consequences it has on somebody's life.
Look, here comes a consequences of my actions chasing me right now.
For the purposes of this video, I'm going to break it down into three broad categories. Now, it may not line up exactly with how the diagnostic manual says, but it's going to be pretty close. Let's call the first stage experimentation. If you catch your kid using, it's not necessarily cause for a 5-alarm fire. Experimentation is normal, and it's important that you don't demonize substance use as a whole, or that could backfire. Where substance use education has gone wrong in the past is that it only presents one side of the coin. Here's why substances are bad. When you do that, you're kind of insulting the intelligence of a kid because they know that there are benefits to using, like it's pleasurable. So it's usually best to take the approach of here are both options, here are the pros and cons, and ultimately it's up to you to decide. At the beginning, it's important to let kids know that they could come to you with questions and that you're going to be supportive. It's also okay to let them know that it is your expectation that drugs and alcohol do not have a negative consequence on their life, and that it is your job as a parent to address that. I find that parents at the end of the day just want their kids to be happy, healthy, and independent. The second phase is when substances begin to have a negative impact on their lives. You may notice a drop in grades. In general, their attitude is changing and their mental health isn't what it was. They just don't seem as happy as they were before. In any situation, I recommend taking an authoritative approach to parenting. This means high degrees of rules and structure. However, high degrees of love and support. Studies continually show this has the best outcomes for children. Therefore, if your kids' choices around substance use are causing a negative impact, it's okay to address the issue like you would any other as a parent, to provide rules and discipline, for example, taking the car away for a weekend or earlier curfew.
Sweetheart, no. No.
At the same time, it's just as important to show that you're supportive. Try to encourage them to see a professional that they can see on their own that could advocate for them. Hopefully, if you take this approach and show that you're taking it seriously while being supportive and getting professional help, you'll start to see some positive changes. When we get to stage 3, we're talking about addiction or a substance use disorder. You're going to notice a serious decline in their mental health, perhaps legal issues. You notice that their use is becoming daily and they're using harder and harder substances. Perhaps they're getting professional help, but it doesn't seem to be enough.
Stop it. Get some help.
In these situations, it's always crucial to consult a licensed mental health professional, and at this phase, it's more crucial than ever. Encourage your kids to get an assessment, and if they're resistant, it's okay to apply a little bit of pressure. Look, we don't want to bribe or manipulate our kids, however, it's okay to provide incentives and disincentives for the choices they make. This is just what parents do. It's usually advisable to follow the professional's recommendation and encourage your kid to do so as well as we're working towards health. This is usually good because you're taking the pressure off yourself to make the decision and you're creating the narrative that we're following the professional recommendations. My next suggestion is possibly the most important, and that's for you and the rest of your family to get help and support for yourselves. Too often parents are resistant to this because they say, well, it's my child's problem and not mine.
Not my problem.
However, this is a family disease, and your demonstration of getting help is a good way of influencing positive change and really can make a difference between a child's recovery and continued abuse of substances. Aside from you seeking professional help yourself, one of the best resources you could utilize is community support groups like Families Anonymous or Al-Anon. These groups can be invaluable for loved ones because they provide a collective wisdom. They give you support and guidance because they've been through it as well. These programs teach you how to set healthy boundaries which benefit you and your kid. They teach you how to find serenity no matter the choices your kid makes. Look, this video is just a general overview. Each situation is complicated and unique in its own way, and this is why it's important to seek help from professionals and those community support groups. When it comes to addiction, this may be a long, hard road. Addiction is a disease and often relapse is part of it, but the more help that you can get, the more your family is going to heal, and the better odds your kid has of getting into health and recovery themselves. If you're watching this video, it's clear you're a caring parent. Our kids make their own choices whether we agree with them or not, but you can find serenity. I wish you luck on your journey and stay strong.